What's up, Shaman King fans, and welcome to another episode of What's the Difference, the Shaman King edition, where I compare a given media's various different adaptations. In this case, it's the Shaman King manga being compared to its 2021 anime adaptation as well as its 2001 anime adaptation. Now, we're still in a place where there are very few connective parts to the 2001 adaptation, as we've very much gone off the beaten path. However, there are still things that somewhat kind of connect. And the biggest thing in terms of what happens in episode 41 of the 2021 adaptation that connects it to the original anime is the fact that you have this episode 41, where you have the death of Team X2 during an attempt to take down Hao. The three who die in this episode also end up dying in episode 56, Door of Babylon. And it's also all in an effort in order to take down Hao with this super powerful weapon. In the original anime, it was the Gate of Babylon, whereas the 41 anime, it was a specialized laser from space of all things. So again, despite the fact that the original anime went in a completely different direction, there were still various different similarities regardless. But as I've already explored episode 56 of the original anime, I won't really be going back into it, but we will be looking at the differences between volume 26, chapter 229, The Magical Princess, versus the 2021 anime episode 41, Encounters Hell. Let's jump in and check it out. You got a little bit of Horo seeing his sister Perika, who Perika has basically spilled the beans about Horo's background to Opacha. Horo has a little bit of a sad situation going on that isn't really revealed to us until much later. And then Anna comes out, more or less to kind of grief everyone. Anna also knows something that Chocolove hasn't really filled in everyone about, and it's something that might actually end up doing some harm to their team. You also pick up with Iron Maiden Jean, Marco, and Lyser giving a ride to Tamao and Manta. They all end up kind of getting a little bit chummy, mostly because the X-Laws have kind of buried the hatchet with Yo's group. And Jean is reflecting a little bit more on everything that has happened and everything that she has done, the people she has ended up killing in the name of their goals. And the storyline about Jean and Marco kind of becomes about, hurting others and having them come to hurt you. Well, their loved ones coming to hurt you in retaliation. And it all serves as a growing lesson for Lyser about the path that he wants to walk down. Not really wanting revenge anymore, but just wanting justice, to do the right thing. Lyser's outlook has completely changed on it. And, I like that Manta is involved here, because he gets to kind of give his own perspective. We haven't really had Manta get to really know Lyser for the most part. So this was a good opportunity for them to kind of reflect. I'm glad they didn't cut anything out here, because it's a very important situation. And it's also Marco starting to kind of weighing in on his ideals, which have actually kind of starting to shift a little bit as well. And then the fight that was completely cut out of the anime. Okay, so in the manga, you had the showdown between Team Hanagumi and Team Magical Princesses, which is, three old ladies for the most part. And these women kind of call themselves witches, basically. And the spirits they use are kind of grotesque. One uses a slug, one uses a fly, one uses a giant spider. And the idea is kind of like, Hanagumi is also kind of based a little bit off of witches. And I guess I understand why it was taken out. Ultimately, it's a slaughter. It's really a slaughter. Kana goes in with her spirit. He utterly impales one of them as, Hanagumi isn't really looking to chat, to converse with these women. They're just ready to start a slaughter, basically. And we end up ending chapter 229, going into chapter 230, titled Mother. And Kana's spirit is utterly slaughtering this older woman. So the other members of Team Magical Princess go in retaliation with her slug. Matilda's spirit completely cuts it in twain. And then it's not just the woman's spirit. Matilda uses her spirit to cut the woman in half as well. Again, it's a absolute bloodbath of a slaughter, and that's where you end things with Marianne, confronting the last member of the team with her spirit. It's made very clear that, this Festival of the Stars is one where no one survives. That's kind of the point they're trying to get across, that it's a bloodbath, it's a slaughter. Everyone died. It's essentially a purge for all of Hao's followers to just get as many spirits to feed to Hao's spirit of fire. And it's made clear that, Hao's followers, they're not going after spirit versus spirit combat. It's all about killing the shaman. Take out the shamans and the matches quickly. But there's such massive censorship in this, which is unfortunate. I mean, you don't need an overabundance of violence, but this was kind of the last big hurrah for Team Hanagumi. This was the time for them to really show what they were made of. Not just the fight between them and Tamao and June and all that, but this was like the little bit of a precursor to how bad things are about to get for everyone else. But again, I understand why they cut it. It's not the most important thing. It's a throwaway situation, ends fairly quickly. It's about the length of a chapter. It doesn't really impact anyone, honestly. Though they do also cut out the foreshadowing of the arrival of a certain character who, the way he arrives in the anime does well enough too. I just don't. It's one of those things that really just shows off that the newer anime is really just trying to rush through things now. Because there's only so many episodes left, and there is a lot of content still yet to be adapted. So it really does leave me wondering, what else are they going to cut out? Because while that wasn't a very crucial part of things, that feels like a precursor to them cutting out really major things. But I could be wrong. I've praised this series in the past for some of the things that they've chosen to cut out, because it did help to cram in as much story as possible. But I hate that feeling of knowing that a series is just trying to rush through its content instead of actually embracing its content. But, to complain about it at this stage in the game for the Shaman King anime shows a lot of folly on my part. We rearrange a few scenes here to get to the whole Hao content, jumping into chapter 231, Countdown to Destruction, where we see the members of Team X2 on their special mission, specifically to kill Hao. I will admit, this isn't as interesting as the Gate of Babylon in the original anime. It's okay, but it feels just like a way of clearing out the rest of the X laws. And then that leads into the end of the previous chapter. And honestly, I understand why they rearranged this. It flows a little bit better, honestly speaking, as you have Horohoro thinking about Horohoro, and that kind of leads him into thinking of his past as well, specifically his past with his mother, which is a very important thing. And you see Hao shed a tear, which was the exact moment the previous chapter ended, but it makes more sense to put it here as you jump into Puff seeing Hao cry, and that's what shakes him from taking a shot at Hao, and their situation goes south. Again, we jump into a different scene, jumping over to chapter 232, Space Operation X. Again, this is why I kind of give credit to the anime, where it's at least trying to keep the momentum going with a specific scene instead of the way that the manga does it, where it shows half of what's going on with the X-Laws, half of what's going on with other characters during a chapter. So you get too many cuts. It just might as well just have the scene completely play out in its entirety. You have Puff, who has been completely destroyed. You have Lucky trying to escape, only for him to be completely incinerated, leaving only Dingbat, and Hao confronts Dingbat as he's the only one left. It's a really intense scene. They do cut out the fact that, in the anime, Hao only talks about Dingbat, but he actually talks about, he talks about Lucky, Puff, and Dingbat as they were part of the same operation. But they cut out the fact that he also talks about Vinstar, who fought in the Gulf War, and how Mina was a Swiss mountaineer, and Kevin was a sniper. So he knows all about all the various members of the X-Laws that he killed. They also cut out the dates, and how saying they only crossed paths because of the areas of conflict all of them spent time in. That's when we cut back to the previous chapter, with a little bit more of Jean and Tamao and Manta. Tamao taking an interest in Jean's clothing. It's actually a cute little bonding moment between the two of them. And you even have a moment where Marco kind of insults Tamao, but he realizes what he did and actually tries to be a little bit nicer. It shows growth on Marco's side. You then pick up with some training between Ryu, Yo, and Faust. Basically, Yo's team have all kind of gained new powers, and then this strange woman just kind of shows up, heralding the final battle, and she's protected by these hooded people. It's then shown that this is in fact Lady Sati. Sati is basically here to set something specific in motion, and Sati summons her spirit to fight Yo, as basically Yo needs to die. And Yo doesn't know what she means when she says that it's in order to, for the 5 warriors. But Sati says there's no time to talk, gotta send Yo to hell. So Yo's just like, well, I guess this is as good a time as any to show off my new oversoul. And Yo, feels like Sati must have a reason for what she's doing. And then you pick back up with Hao and Dingbat, as he talks about how he's traveled this world and seen nothing but bloodshed and the conflicts that humans have had. But Dingbat reveals that this was all according to plan for them, that they knew they couldn't beat Hao. That's why they set up this trap, an attack that Hao shouldn't be able to dodge. An experimental satellite commanded by Dingbat's spirit. Let there be light, massive fire. Unfortunately, this blast completely blinds Marco and leaves him open to an attack. We've entered into chapter 233, The Brothers Know, where we see an Egyptian man attacking the X-Law. He looks like Anatel from Team Nile that Jean killed, but this is actually his brother, come to get revenge for what Jean did. They managed to escape thanks to Lyser's quick thinking, but Marco is completely out, and this guy has a lot more power than his brother. And while Lyser asks for Jean to summon Shamash, Jean is overcome with her grief and regret for what she did and causing this situation, which leaves them prone to attack. And this makes Lyser think back to what Yo said, you get what you give. If you hurt people, they'll hurt you back. Meanwhile, we see that Dingbat is still alive somehow, and Dingbat's at a loss. They cut out some of his theories on how Hao could have survived, but Hao says, that was clever, and I would have asked you to join us for your tenacity. But Hao's in a bit of a bad mood because Puff saw something he shouldn't have. He saw Hao's emotion, and so Dingbat is utterly turned to ash, burned away, soul and all. And, everyone's kind of distracted by what happened, but the Gandhara, they know what that signal. And Sati knows that she can't have a delicate approach on how she does things, killing Yo instantly with her spirit, doing an incantation, immediately sending Yo's soul straight to hell. The perfect place for him to train, essentially. We then enter into volume 27, and starting off with chapter 234, Encounters in Hell, with Sati, letting Ryu know that Yo's soul is in hell, but he should be calm about it. It's in order to stop Hao, as Yo must become one of the 5 warriors and gain one of the 5 high spirits. And so, just like Chocolove, Yo's going to gain a great amount of power through dying. It really does take the concept from Dragon Ball Z and crank it up to an 11, essentially. And despite being in hell, Yo is as laid back as ever, basically. But he knows that Chocolove went to hell and came back and everything worked out, so he's just like, Sati must have had a reason. She could bring me back to life after all. And then we see the Oni from Anna. Anna's basically demonic spirit, who is essentially Yo's guide in all of this. And Yo thinks that maybe Masamune is here as well, which we know he is. And Yo basically talks to the Oni like they're old friends. And the Oni explains that Sati was the one who helped him survive here, and it's also revealed that through this, Yo might be able to become a god-level shaman, but the Oni makes it clear that Yo will either be destroyed or be able to survive. This was even a difficult place for the Oni, but he has now become a god, and the Oni only, thinks about Anna now, or his mama. He seems to have a great amount of love for his creator despite everything that happened in the past. And the Oni guides Yo to his first trial, a place where killers are sent to kill each other over and over again. The first gate, the reviving hell. Yo will have to face his first foe here, and then he'll move forward. Yo ends up encountering someone who looks like Mikihisa, but it's very obvious it's not Mikihisa, and they start going at each other. And it's shown that this is, of course, not Mikihisa or an imposter. This is actually Yokin Asakura, Yo's ancestor. We then enter into chapter 235, Ancestor. And for some reason, Yokin thinks he's still in the shaman fight where he defeated Hao. Well, around the time of the shaman fight when he defeated Hao. And he seems to think he's also commanding Masamune into an oversoul, which, he's not. Yeah, Yokin seems to be in a little bit of a haze, a delirium, and Yo can immediately tell that something is off here. But Yo's just like, okay, I guess, all I need to do is defeat him, right? So they start to clash. Yo wants to do an oversoul, but the question, how do you do that when Yo is a soul? And doesn't he need the Futsunomitama? There's a lot of questions here, but Yokin's not gonna let up on Yo, as he delivers a blow that seems to destroy Yo's hand. Yokin doesn't even acknowledge what he did to Yo, but Yo realizes something's not right. How does he have Harasame? Yo feels that, nothing here is physical. Everything here is mental, spiritual. It's where the mind and will basically commands all. They're inside of the Great Spirit. So Yo's mental state means everything. His spirit means anything. This is a place of growth for the spirit. And so Yo brings back his hands, he brings in the Futanomitame, and Yo realizes he should be able to just bring about an oversoul just by force of will. And Yokin recognizes the Futanomitama, and Yo introduces himself as Yokin's descendant. And Yokin goes in for the attack, dismissing what he's saying. We see Masamune saying that the power that defeated Hao previously must be overcome in order to defeat him this time. Yo must unlock a power from a more powerful version of Hao. And so Yo brings about his newer oversoul, the Spirit of Sword, White Swan, thus ending the episode as well as the chapter. Now, we still have the rest of volume 27, as well as 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35 to get through. And there are, well, 11 episodes of the anime to get through. They're gonna rush this. They're gonna cut out a lot of stuff because there's still the training in hell that needs to be done, the 5 warriors gaining their powers, the fight between Team Ren and Team Yo, a bit of a situation with Manta, and then the showdown with the Pacificients, and then the ultimate showdown with Hao, as well as some stuff involving a bit of a falling out with Hao's followers left to go. I mean, you can do all of that within 11 episodes, but it's gonna feel really cramped. Which, yeah, a lot of people were suspicious on whether or not they would be able to make all of this work towards the end. It's not. It's not going to be satisfying. I think they'll be able to do it well enough. There's a lot of action upcoming, and there's a lot of shortcuts you can take, but there's just these very intricate moments that I feel we're going to skim over or not go into with enough depth, and that'll be an ultimate shame. But in terms of things here, we're seeing the end of the X-Laws, basically, as well as Yo's kind of last hurrah to get stronger. But focusing specifically on the downfall of the X-Laws, I honestly have to say that the original anime did it better. It was a lot more bombastic, it was a lot more grandiose. With the Gate of Babylon that they basically tried out once and then another attempt, but it all kind of goes a bit the same. First you have the downfall of 3 of the X-Laws, one after the other, they're falling to Hao's minions, and then you have another one of them all falling again. But the ultimate takeaway is kind of always comes down to Lyser kind of being the last man standing amongst the X-Law. That happens no matter what the continuity. And at least in the original anime, Lyser kind of gets a massive power-up from combining all the angels into Morphine. Lyser's still going to get that power-up, but it's going to be a little bit odd. And again, I don't know if the newer anime is going to do Lyser's power jump justice, but tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about how this episode kind of shaked out? Do you feel that the deaths of Lucky, Dingbat, and Puff were better realized in the newer anime or the original anime? I don't know, I think I'm a little bit biased because they at least put like a song during the deaths of those 3, and the Gate of Babylon was a little bit more surreal than the laser that was fired off. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe for more, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.